We're back. Platonic Lovers. I have missed everyone these last several weeks. You know, most people don't know that when we decided to start this podcast, we wanted to just kind of like try it because we got a lot to say, as you know. And we got incredible feedback. The feedback was actually so good that we decided that we're back and we're coming with a weekly drop. And I can't wait to share with you all of the amazing topics and things we're going to talk about. So thank you everyone for the downloads and listeners. I can't wait for you to hear the lineup of amazing guests that we're going to have on. We're going to talk about all the things, taboo topics, friendships. So without further ado, I want to bring in my co-host for the day, my good friend, Marilyn Galloway.
Hello. Hello. I'm here.
Yeah, she's here. So I wanted to get together with Marilyn for lunch. We used to work together. We've known each other in the professional realm for years. And she is just like an incredible human soul that just makes you feel good when you talk to her. And you will feel the exact same by the time this podcast is over. But one of the things I really wanted to talk about, because it seems to pop up a lot as it relates to our friendships, is how our friendships grow as we age. Marilyn just turned 60.
You got it.
She looks like she's 32. And so we're going to also get her entire beauty regimen and everything that she does. But truly, beyond all of those products, she's one of those people who lives her life to the fullest, enjoys friends, family, laughter, joy, and really prioritizes that even in the toughest moments, which is why she's just an incredible person to be around. So today I want to talk about Marilyn's life and just some unique things that I know about her that I think everybody else deserves to know about her. Not that she's just funny. I mean, I have to pause for a second and say that Marilyn, so we filmed this from my house until we get our big office. And Marilyn texts me on the way and she goes, "Will you start your oven to 450? I'm bringing sourdough." So like she brought sourdough and put it in my oven. So that's baking right now. And I got the hubby working on it so that we don't have to get up from the podcast.
I wish we had smell-o-vision so everybody could smell the wonderful sourdough. It's going to be so good.
It's going to be so good. So that's just context for the kind of person that Marilyn is. And so I just kind of want to jump into it. And I'm going to give a little more background other than just how much I love you. Marilyn has kids, adult children. She she was married and divorced, and she's a blended family, and she's got kids of her own, and she's been married to her husband for how long?
30 years, September.
30 years. And Juanita.
That's He's the non-Hispanic one.
Yeah, non-Hispanic, but his mom wanted a kid named Juanita, right?
His grandma wanted a kid named Juanita and had a boy and named him Juan. So that's my husband's father, Juan Sr. And then, his older brother's Greg and his younger brother's Steve. So it's just this crazy thing. Yeah.
But I love it. Juan is a delightful human. How many kids do you guys have?
We have 4. I got 2 the easy way, meaning to say Juan's ex-wife bore them, but I got to raise them.
That's the best.
I had to go through all those body changes. So we started our marriage with Ryan and Ashley. They were 7 and 5. They've known me since they were probably 5 and 3. And then we have 2 together, Madison and Julia. So Ryan's 38, Ash is 36, Maddie's 27, Julia's 24.
And which was the one with the twins, the adorable twins?
Ashley, the second. Jack and Henry.
They're so
my lifeblood.
I want to squeeze them.
Oh, I do all the time.
Cute. I bet you do.
Yeah.
So Marilyn obviously is a part of a blended family. And so one of the things that, everybody knows I like to talk about blended families. I'm a stepmom. We haven't even had that episode yet, but we will. And we'll get into the nitty gritty. And so I want to just talk a little bit about you went through that before it was even more accepted than it is right now. So I guess I want to talk about that experience and just kind of have you share, but also, one of the things that you told me a long time ago, like you couldn't have gotten through it without your friends. Your sisters are like your closest friends. You use family like friends, but I want to talk about that kind of like that platonic lovers of like, I could not have done these hard things without this group of friends even 30 years ago.
Yes. I sought out women who I worked with in particular that also we called ourselves the Second Wives Club.
I love that.
Far superior to the first, obviously.
Obviously.
So it ended up being that we got Ryan and Ashley because their mom has a substance use disorder and mental health issues. And actually that was a blessing. I feel bad for all the time she's missed because they are such great human beings, but she hasn't been in their lives for a really, really long time. And so I always knew that I wanted to step up and be the parent, regardless if she was the parent or not. Not the mom, just, the stepmom, the fun mom, not the wicked stepmom. But when it went from me being stepmom to mom, I was a little irritated at first. I was like, I don't know.
I didn't sign up for this.
No, I want to be the fun mom. I don't want to do your homework and shit. I don't, want to be the one having to make dinner every single night. So I think I wasn't irritated with them. I was irritated with her and the situation. But I grew up with them sort of in a way. I don't even know how to describe it.
Well, yeah, because you're just kind of like thrown into this experience. Yes. And I was a stepmom like you before I was a mom.
Right.
And of children I got the hard way, which is the birthing ones. And it is weird because you do expect like, oh, I can have a weekend alone, and then I can with my new not Mexican Juan boyfriend, and our husband, and then I can have family time and kind of like ease into this mothering thing.
Well, you're like making like, oh, we're gonna make homemade Pop-Tarts, and we're gonna run a 5K, and then they come to live with you full time, and they're like, let's make Pop-Tarts and run a 5K, and you're like, I don't have fucking time,
right? Like
you're here all the time now.
I have to feed you.
Yeah. I'm not fun anymore.
No. And
I sort of resented that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I totally understand. So how did you, where did you go? Who did you talk to? Like, how did you cope with that? Knowing, my stepmom journey started a lot later than yours. It was, how long ago? 15 years ago now. And I still felt like I was isolated in groups of people where they just didn't get it.
Yep.
So how did you find, I know you said that the Second Wives Club, but how did you guys find each other?
Yeah, we worked together. And we knew each other's history. I worked for the power company, and everybody knew everybody and sort of their background and their history. And, first time I was married to someone from the same company. And then Juan also worked for the same company.
So a little
just
incestual
fishing
power.
off that company dock until I was going to reel the right one in. It was just like, oh my God, who's Marilyn going to prey on next? I don't know. But it's... I'm trying to think of Cindy Gear, my dear friend, who you may have heard this or may have not, but her husband was the butcher that died in St. Paul, and he was in a basement staying overnight at the butcher shop. I think it was Stasny's.
Okay.
Stasny's Meats. So he was there, and he just had a little cot popped up in the basement because they lived up north, and he would come and work 3 days a week. And a fire started overnight, and he died in the fire.
Oh,
and she is, to this day, just lovely and has been through so many hard things, including her divorce from her first husband with 3 children. And then I worked with her at the power company, and then my friend Peggy Johnson. And the 3 of us were just really tight. It was before texting, so you'd call, or we had lunch once a week. We would just complain.
Yeah, I love it.
I mean, that was mostly just bitching and just, oh, God, I can't stand her. She's been horrible. And this is what happened to me this week. Or this is how I feel at church when I go to communion and people know Ryan and Ashley aren't my kids.
Yeah.
It's just feeling judged and living it out loud anyway and giving 0 fucks.
Yeah, but again, that's people are coming into their power, women, stepmoms, now. That was 30 years ago.
I know.
That is really empowering. And my understanding, they're still your good friends.
They are still my good friends.
Right. And so it just kind of really shows the power of you find those people. And I know you can call it whatever you want, complaining, venting, bitching, whatever. But it's so powerful. I mean, I remember the same thing. I had so many intrusive thoughts all the time that you didn't even know what to call it. Even when you started this conversation, you're like, I'm not mad at these kids, but I'm mad, I think, or resentful, or you don't know the feeling. And so you're rapid firing, synapses of I need to put this somewhere, because otherwise you do kind of get afraid it's going to come out sideways.
Well, and you're dealing also with someone you don't want to act like you hate in front of the children. That's their biological mom.
Yeah.
And at the same time, she was so mentally ill, and there were so many horrible things being said and done and perpetrated on us. And it was how do I act like that's great, she's your mom, when I'm literally afraid she's going to fatal attraction me one day?
Yeah, that's hard.
Yeah.
That is really hard. Okay, so I want to fast forward a little bit. So then you and Juan decided you were going to have some kids.
Yes. And he had a vasectomy because his first wife cheated on him. He wasn't sure, what was going to happen in their relationship. So he was like, I'm not going to worry that this next time it's not going to be my child.
Yes.
It was terrible. And so that was out of pocket at the same time as we were building a home, getting married, all of those things. But that was my non-negotiable. I needed to have a fireplace in my house, and I needed to have a wiener that worked. So,
So you got the reversal.
yes, we got the reversal. And for, gosh, I think we tried for like 6 months, and I wasn't getting pregnant. And at that time, my coping outlet was running, just running and running and running. And I got into that after my first divorce from my ex-husband, who was domestically violent. And it was just a terrible situation. I made really poor choices after my sister Jean died of cancer. I think I thought I deserved having my ass handed to me every day, just because that was at least better than not being dead. I don't know what my subconscious did.
Isn't Marilyn's honesty of life like just completely refreshing? You talk like I do,
Yeah.
which is just like get to the fucking point.
Yeah.
Because like this is life. But I also love that you found running. I mean, it can be a very healthy coping skill. I say can be
healthy.
because
I'm
a therapist, and I see when healthy coping skills go wrong, right?
Yeah. And I was that person who like would only eat a sweet potato for lunch for like a year. So it wasn't necessarily healthy, but it was what I can control at that point in time.
Yeah, but it makes it hard to get pregnant when you're not eating enough and running all the time.
So that's exactly what happened. I think I was running too much. I trained for and ran a marathon within 6 weeks at that time, because I was just so blinded by my desire to be pregnant. And the minute I stopped and slowed down after that marathon, it was in October, I got pregnant Thanksgiving night. And I know, I remember.
You remember the night of conceiving.
I knew it. I knew it when
Did
it
you put your
happened.
legs in the air?
I did. I did the bicycle. I immediately, we were, not to get too crazy here, but if anybody knows my old house on Bluebell Court, we had a hearth room with a big fireplace, roaring fire.
Which clearly is like the sex thing for you.
Oh, yeah. The fire. I mean, and I'm a Sag, so it's like, okay, let's go. And he's a Taurus. And, my daughter, Maddie, who is probably cringing right now hearing this, I swear to God, the fire leapt into my womb. And she has flaming red hair.
She does. She's a ginger like me.
Yeah. And we have no idea where they came from, except for I think that's where it came from.
Well, and the Irish thing.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah. My children look nothing like me. I look like, if you put a headdress on me, I am a Native American person. And that does resonate with me in my soul. I do feel like that is part of my history. I've never
you've always been so called to it. Even the books and things you've shared with me. Like, it's probably like a life from your past.
I think so.
I think so too.
Yeah. I have felt great peace when I've been in places. There's a Native American burial site up by my parents' old house in Brainerd. And walking through those woods, I don't think I've ever felt more clarity, even in my church, where I'm always happy and comfortable.
I love that.
Yeah.
Oh, we could go like super deep on that, but that's not what I want to talk about today. So obviously we're going to have Marilyn back, because I'm already dying at her one-liners, and I can have a pretty thick Minnesotan accent, but when Marilyn just said Brainerd, I was about to die. So I love hearing you talk, even though everyone around me talks like that, but yours is like an extra zest and a flavor, and I love it. So you decided you got pregnant, you stopped running, the fire leapt to your womb.
It did.
Maddie is born.
I didn't stop running. I ran the whole time I was pregnant.
Well, good.
Yeah.
I mean, again, it's like it's a healthy thing as long as it's healthy, right?
It was healthy. It was. I only gained 19 pounds. I started exercising like 2 days later.
Yeah. Great.
I was fine.
Good.
Yeah.
And then how many years later you got Julia, who I met and I have had the pleasure of working with, and she's such a delightful human.
She is. I actually had, Julia's my rainbow baby. So after Maddie, we were going through the custody battle at that time. And it was really hard to go through a custody battle with somebody who wasn't present, because she was using and not able to come to court. And then they would postpone things. And
you're like, why am I even having to fight this and spend the money and the time?
Why do I have to contest this? It was so shocking to me. And my husband, obviously, it was his battle. But I was pregnant at that time, and during that time, I lost the baby at about 4 months. It was just so stressful. So surprising that when you have a miscarriage, you have to go to the birthing unit of a hospital to have a DNC. They wheeled me past the nursery.
The women who had babies.
I'm like, okay,
it's so traumatic.
This is like hazing. It was so shocking to me. I'm like, you're wheeling me past the nursery, and you're gonna go scrape me out like a melon.
Yeah. Yes.
And it was awful.
It is awful. And a lot of, like in the last, 15 years, I mean, so Marilyn has worked in community outreach and in medical and mental health care for a long time. And that's since the power plant, pretty much. And that's how we got connected. Even before she worked at Ellie and all that other kind of stuff, we got connected. But there's been this huge surge of like these mother baby centers and all this other kind of stuff, which really are in an attempt to reduce trauma, keep babies and moms together. And I do know, unfortunately, several women who have had miscarriages, or, even late stillbirths, late term. And they've changed just even the layout of a lot of these places so that people, because we know a lot more about trauma.
Right.
And it's so hard because it's one of those things where, like, I'm the kind of person who can talk about that kind of stuff. Like, well, I had waffles for breakfast yesterday.
Yeah.
And you are too. But we're the kind of people who can talk about it and process it and like get through it. And maybe not in that moment, right? Because it's hard. But it is also a part of life. Like, those things happen. I wish, one of my kids is actually in like sex ed. We got like the email home. It's like, if you don't want your kids to talk about sex, you better pull them out of school. I'm like, what? Okay, well, this is different.
You're like, we've already been talking about it.
Yeah, literally. Have you met me? I'm a therapist, Mom. We've been talking about the birds and the bees since they were 6.
Yes.
So he's in sex ed. He has, permission to do all this stuff, which is just different than what it was. But kids these days are so much more accepting. And I think that they understand this kind of like this trauma response.
Yeah.
And what I like about it is that they're kind of being taught to process some of these things in real time. And it's cool because they're a future, right? So tangent, going back to, how we talk about how hospital layouts are different. It's cool to know that people are it requires us to think about things like miscarriage and DNCs in everyday life to make the change to the engineers and how they design new maternity wings.
Right.
And so I'm grateful that we talk about it. It takes people like me and you to want to talk about it. And we're not trying to like glamorize or minimize how traumatic it is, but that's kind of this movement that we're in where we get to kind of dictate and help raise our kids different. But if we don't talk about it, it just stays a secret and then nothing's different.
I mean, I think I've always talked about sex ed with my kids. I'm a sexual being.
I know.
My daughter Julia came out to me and she was like, she's gay, and she came out as bi because I think most kids come out as bi because they don't want to like shock their parents to soften the blow. Like, I wasn't surprised. She wore an Under Armour hockey shirt to work when she was 7. She was working. I put her to work. She was at school and she wore her black hockey socks. Like, every day she had a bob. Like, come on. She wore the Bermuda shorts. She never wanted to wear a bikini. Like, duh.
It's just not who she was.
No. And she came out and she was telling me, I think I'm bi. And she did the thing. And I go, oh my God, I thought something was seriously wrong with you.
Right.
You scared me. I said, I might have tried it if I would have thought it was okay back then. Like, I missed the fucking boat.
Right.
I never had to make out with a girl.
You didn't miss the boat.
I mean,
you're 60. Anything can happen. Anything can happen.
I still can do it if I want to, right?
Yeah, Juan probably would want to be there.
I know. Yeah, we played.
He would want it.
We would want it. We played Would You Rather one time when we were in Maine for our anniversary, and the question was, would you rather if your son was gay or your wife was gay? He's like, oh, way rather that you were gay. I'm like, no, you don't get it. You don't get to be there. This isn't for you.
Like,
it's for me.
If I'm gay, then we're probably not doing it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's so funny. Okay, so you've got these kids. One of the things I love is, like I said, I've gotten to know one of your children. I feel like I know the rest of them and your cute little grandsons because I get to see them on social media. But what I love is, and I come from a family where like my sisters are my best friends. We get together all the time. Like, we're having like a family sit down in a couple of weeks to talk about the cabin because we all want to be there all the time together.
Yes.
But that gets overwhelming, and like anything to figure it out because we just want to be with each other. So I want people to hear a little bit about, and I'm just genuinely curious.
Sure.
And even getting back to, that was part of the sex ed thing I wanted to bring up, is that, like your relationship grows with your kids as they get older. Yes. And the stuff you can talk about changes over time. And one of the things I've observed is that you seem to be like genuine friends with your adult kids.
Yep.
Like, do you call them when you're like, hey, I've got this problem or this weird mole on my back? Like,
yeah. Well, Ryan's a pharmacist, so like anytime my mental health meds change, I'm like, I cut my Wellbutrin XR in half, and I shouldn't have, should I? And I just went for a 5-hour walk, and he's like, oh God, no, you shouldn't have, and you're gonna be okay, and this is the half-life. And he's a very calm, analytical person. Mm-hmm. I always think, oh my God, how do you get so smart and all this chemistry? And all I ever did was like make tater tot hot dish. This is a true story. The only homework I ever helped him with was sewing, because he was in tears about sewing this frog. He had to show different stitches, like
Oh
how
my
to do the
gosh.
buttons,
Yeah.
how to do the out, whatever. And he brought his project home and he hands it right to me in the air and he goes, "We got an A!" And I'm like, oh God, only thing I ever helped him with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
man.
he has been a dear friend to me when I'm struggling with my anxiety. I think just in general, he is sort of my North Star, if that makes sense.
And he's the oldest, right?
He is the oldest.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's weird because, there's all this like therapy research on birth order and all this stuff. And then you get in a blended family, which I know more about. I'm a blended family 2 times over again.
Right.
With 2 of my own right in the smack dab middle of that, right?
Right.
And it's just this, like, how does it really affect us? How does it really change these dynamics? But a lot of people rely on their oldest kid to be that kind of anchoring person for them.
And we do. And I feel bad for it sometimes.
Like have guilt, like it should be reversed still.
Not that it should be me, but that it shouldn't always be him. Everybody's always, "Oh, Ryan, thank you for the support." Like the cards are always, we're really like messy and loving and overly demonstrative, much to the chagrin of my son-in-law, who is just like, "Do you guys have to read the cards out loud and bawl every single time? Like, this is just a lot for me."
Wait, what cards? Are you talking just like birthday cards?
Yeah,
and stuff?
birthday,
Okay.
anything like that.
You're not just like writing comment cards for Ryan when he comes over.
No,
Okay.
no, I'm not. No,
I kind of like that, like a little mood booster.
Yeah. No, he is, I just don't want him to have that pressure,
Yeah.
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 And then Ashley, and they do fall into their like oldest and youngest, because I don't really have a middle.
Yeah.
Even though Ashley and Maddie are in the middle, they're 8 years apart.
Yep.
So we know with birth order that it's like 2 oldest and 2 youngest.
Yeah.
Completely fall into those categories. Maddie and Ryan totally scheduled, on time, on point, everything. Julia and Ashley, la 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 la, up in the hills. Don't care what time it is. Don't care when they get up.
Yeah.
So much fun. But I've always had the relationship where they felt like they could talk to me about different things. I was more the mom where I would get mad if the island wasn't wiped when I came home from work. I'm just like, see crumbs and like this whole house is a disaster.
Yeah.
And you guys need to get on it, right?
Yeah, that's me. My kids now make fun of me.
Right.
They're at that age.
Yeah.
Or instead of being like, let's do what mom says, they're like, you are a psychotic, crazy person.
Yep.
We haven't even finished eating the meal. And I like, it doesn't have to be perfectly clean. I just like, it's the anxiety. It's like I like a clean space because it means a clear mind.
Yes, me too. I'm very feng shui. I'm very all of that.
Yeah.
So with Ashley, she was more right away. She was just down to be my stepdaughter, like right away. We had so much fun together when she was little. And then when she became that tween, she was probably one of the hardest ones just because I think it was that angst about, oh, you're not my mom. But she wasn't really super vocal about it. A little bit more passive aggressive as
it just kind of came out sideways
in Minnesota. And so was I with her. And I remember her and her cousin Sarah, and they were teens, preteens, maybe 12. They were talking about girls wearing different colors of lip gloss because then when they would go to parties with boys, they could see the different imprints on the boy.
Oh, yeah.
When they were doing little closet fun games, sexual things. And they were acting like they were so shocked. Oh, my gosh, they were curious and they were interested.
Mm-hmm.
And it was right at that time Oprah had a segment on this, and it was called the Lifesaver Game, where girls would leave their lip prints down along the shaft of the boy.
Wow.
At parties, yes. And I'm like, you guys quit acting like you don't know what this is. You've probably even been to a party and maybe even done it. And they both just looked down like, holy shit, she's on to us.
Right. Like she just called us out and she's like, doesn't even seem like big mad.
And I wasn't mad. What I wanted them to always know was if it's not good for you, don't do it.
Yeah.
If he's not giving you something in return and he's just got 8 girls in this closet, what does that say to you about perpetuating the bullshit that I've had to live through?
Yeah. No, I think that's super powerful. So you started having those really open conversations that, some parents might say, I look at that and I just say, that's just being a parent. other people might say that blurs the line of friend and parent.
Yeah.
But I think that's hard for us stepmoms, especially when you become a stepmom first, because you kind of like toe the line of like, well, you're living in my house, so I'm going to give you some rules, but I'm also the fun parent and I don't need to enforce the rules.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Right.
But that's also like your brain's still developing. That's how you're learning how to mother. Right. And
Right.
so it just kind of comes out that way. Like I was stepmom first, which means I maybe had a little bit more diffuse friend versus parent boundaries. And
Yes.
I can't turn it off just because I got two kids that, you know, need the more rigid mom. And they don't. I mean, kids can adapt and they're fine. But it's certainly, I think it does change the way that we have friendships with our kids.
Oh, yes. Yes, definitely. And it's not different with my biological kids than it is with my stepkids. We don't even call them that. They're just all my kids. In many ways,
I feel that way too. And my kids have their moms in their lives.
Yeah.
You know, they're just my kids.
They are. They are. They're all of our kids.
Yeah.
And the more love and the more people that love them is a good thing. So if the adults are the ones that can't get around that, it's about them.
Yeah. Well, of course. That's again, we could go so deep on that topic. We might just have to, because it's, you know, at another episode, because I guarantee people are going to be wanting more of Marilyn. Okay. So one of the things that we were chatting about before we decided to like officially get on air was, now that you have these adult relationships and you were a very open mom with them when they were younger, you're still a very open mom with them now. What kind of things are like shock you that are totally on limits, and what kinds of things are you like shocked that your kids are like, oh God, gross, mom, or I don't want to hear about that? Like what topics are not okay to talk about with your kids as adults?
It depends on if Juan is there or not.
Okay, because is he more rigid about it? Like doesn't want? Okay,
yeah, he's still the parent. He's still very uncomfortable with a lot of it. I would say with me, the topics that I'm not overly comfortable with would maybe be more with religion or things like that.
Interesting.
And I mean, I love books about particularly women that are oppressed by religion in other societies and other countries. So I feel like I know a lot of those things, but I should rephrase. I don't want anyone to, my kids, to talk badly or demean my faith journey or my religion because they were raised Catholic.
Oh, okay.
And I don't think they're down with it anymore, which is okay, but don't tell me what not to do, or that you found this and now this is better.
Or what I'm hearing you say is that, look at me, I'm like immediately a therapist again.
Yeah.
What I hear you say,
I love that,
is that it can create a source of contention that doesn't need to happen.
Exactly.
Right. And so like that, and that is one of the best things about all relationships. Like if you know, it's like, if it's a deal breaker, like I can't talk to you about what to have for dinner when we get together because you're so triggered because maybe I'm a vegan and you are, you know, a carnivore and that's all you eat, right?
Yep.
Like that's going to hurt the relationship. But you don't have to talk about your religious beliefs with your kids, especially if it's a source of contention. You can. I'm giving everybody permission. You do not have to bear everything to everyone you have a relationship with.
Yeah.
Which is actually the secret to keeping your relationship strong. You know, there's like this misnomer out there that's like, well, I have to share everything, bare my whole soul. Otherwise, are they my best friend? Are they my husband? It's like false.
Yes.
If you want to keep them, you better know exactly your audience of who you should be talking to people about, because creating contention in relationships is exactly what it is. It's creating contention in relationships. And we are like every other dynamic in the natural world, which is if we have more times where it makes us feel bad, we're going to lean away. And if there's more times that make it feel good, we're going to lean in.
Yes.
And so what about things like just like, you know, when I reached out to Marilyn and we said, let's talk about it, she's like, yeah, let's talk about sex. So like, you know, you're a very dynamic and intimate individual. Like, what about that kind of stuff? Like, do they come to you? I mean, you said that, you know, it's Madeline, right? Madison. Like Maddie would cringe if she heard the story about, or listening to the story about the fire jumping into your womb. Like, are you pretty expressive about that now?
It depends on like the environment, but yes.
Yeah.
I am. I'm a sexual being, and my kids are probably throwing up at that, but they are too. We all are, right?
Right. It's kind of like, if you're going to have sex in my house, so am I.
Right.
Yeah.
Duh. Oh my God. In high school, I swear to God, I wanted to take all the blankets out of the house because you always knew when they were downstairs and there was a blanket going on. You're like, I know what's going on under that blanket. I have been under that blanket.
Right.
Right?
Ew,
So
Mom.
it's like,
Ew.
get rid of it. Go down the street and do it in your car like I did. Just don't, please.
Right. Like, don't, like, right. Like, now that they're older and they have relationships, like, like, it's kind of funny how kids grow up thinking, like, it's so taboo to talk about, and they think that we weren't kids once.
Yeah.
Like, that's also pretty comical to me.
And my husband still acts like he was never a kid and he never did any of that. So that is why they would more lean towards me for any of those conversations, because he just doesn't like to go there with them. And that's okay. That's his deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you feel like, so one of the things I like to ask some of my friends where there's kind of like this age dynamic is, you know, women as they get older and you still have your good friends, do you feel like, you know, everybody talks about like you feel more liberated, you're more free, like you just give zero fucks, which
Yes.
you have kind of always.
Yes.
But how has your relationships with your friends or the people or, you know, your platonic lovers in your life, how has that changed? Do you feel like when talking just about relationships and intimacy and your life, like how has that changed over the last, 30 years?
Yes. More recently, as time has gone on, I've really become good friends with Shelly and Susie. They're my bestie boos. Hi, girls. Hope you're listening, girls. They are the friends that you can just say anything to, and we know that we have each other. We can hold each other, and we don't talk every day. We might talk 10 times a day, and then we don't talk for 2 weeks. But it has evolved to the point where I can't fake it, and I don't want to, but Erin, I really never have.
Yeah.
I was that girl in high school who was kind of friends with everybody. I never cared who was what. I've just always sort of rolled with it, and thank God for my mom. She made me and my 3 sisters so confident in who we were. We never felt like we had to I don't know, I'm trying to think of like compromise the way we were or the way we looked or what we did. I mean, you know, the way I dress,
Or like
the way
have to
I act.
or defend.
Yes.
Right? Like I'm just going to show up me, and if people don't like it, like cool, but I'm not going to defend my actions
Correct.
to you.
Yes. Yes.
That I think that is, we talk about strong, confident women. It's that piece, and people often can't put a word to it. It's like, I'm not going to sit here. You can have an experience or a judgment of me, but I'm not going to defend it.
Yes.
Because there's nothing defensible here.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
and I love that. Marilyn is a fashionista. She's got like the cutest short haircut that I've been jealous of my entire adult life. I've always wanted to pull it off, but you guys can't see me. I'm sure you've seen pictures of me, but I have very curly hair.
Yeah.
And that just ends up looking like pubes on your head when it goes real short in the cut you have.
Oh God.
So I just I've never decided,
Maybe some Talladega Nights vibes.
Yes,
Yeah.
literally John C. Reilly, like shake and bake, baby. Yeah, it's just not the look that I'd want. And then I was like, but maybe I could straighten it. And it's like, no, I can't even get the
No.
flat. I would end up having like burnt off little crisps of hair with a burnt scalp showing because the flat iron would have to get that frickin' close.
Stick with what you got.
I know. So I'm just going to sit and continuously be jealous of you. And I love it when you spike it up and it looks so cute. It's adorable. Okay, well, I feel like this has been an awesome episode. I could sit and talk to you for hours, which is fun for me because when we hang up, I'm still going to sit and talk to Marilyn. We're going to eat lunch.
That's right.
So sorry for you suckers. Just kidding. Love you all. But we'll probably have Marilyn back. We have to have Marilyn back. She's just so funny and so engaging. Anything else you want to share with our people about friendships and the stuff we've talked about today to give them a little extra boost? Maybe just say Brainerd again.
Brainerd. I'm grateful for my relationship and my friendship with you, Erin, and with the other women that you've introduced me to through working together. Just such a strong, powerful group of women. Erin's such a great example, a female CEO, just an absolute rock star. And you're so young and you're so successful. I idolize you, and also I want to mom you to death and make you cookies and can smell the sourdough wafting into the room.
I accept.
Soon.
I accept.
Yes.
I accept
yes.
you. I accept the position.
Okay.
All right.
Wonderful. Deal.
Awesome. Sounds good. We'll see everybody next time.
Bye, guys.